Okay, we are live. I'm all by myself. Wait, there
Hello.
he is. Hey, everybody. How are you? And happy Tuesday night. Who all is joining us today? Pop on the chat and tell us who is here.
Who are you?
Yes, who are you? So last week we were talking about, it was our wedding anniversary. We had a wonderful time.
Oh, good.
We did. We went out to dinner, just enjoyed kind of a quiet evening. Also last week we were talking about, realtor abuses, and I was curious if any of you guys have had questions about that since then. We talked about,
No abuses allowed.
Like the driveway blindside. We talked about that a little bit. I was just thinking in general that we ought to be called. Okay. Tell me what you think about this. Okay. I think that we should be called the Raise the Bar Realtors.
There you go. Raise the bar.
Yeah. I think, and in fact, all
I'll
of
work
us
on that. Think of a more chiming name.
Raise the Bar Realtors.
Hey, Mr. O.
Yeah, let's say some hellos. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, Dale and Wendy. Hello, how are you? Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? We're here on the right day.
Taco
Okay, very
Tuesday.
good. It's Taco
But we're
Tuesday.
not having
We're not
tacos,
having
so.
tacos. Hey, Wendy and Dale. Hey,
Hey,
Purple
Purple
Drink.
Drink.
You are always faithful. So good to see you guys. So glad
you.
you joined us today. Welcome to the Raise the Bar Realtor live stream. Anyway, we are Dale and Wendy. If we haven't met before, glad you are joining us. Dale and Wendy Pinnell. Happy to get to know you guys. We were just talking about funny question. Tell me, Dale, what was our funny question? If this were, okay, what was it again? It's pretty good. Let's see. If this was a game, if this was a sports game, okay, who's winning and who's losing?
It's okay. We'll back up a little bit.
Okay.
So, who out there, raise your hand, or sports fans?
Okay.
What sports do you like?
You're not raising your hand.
I like all sports.
He does like all sports.
A lot of sports.
It's true. He likes all sports.
Play and watch. And if the real estate market was a sports match between two teams, which I would suppose that would be buyer and seller.
Buyer and seller.
Who is winning right now?
Yeah.
So,
did I
what
say?
Do you think?
Yep. I'm interested. Everybody drop in the chat. What do you think? If we were a sports game, if the housing market was a sports game, who's winning? Buyers or sellers? And so that's what we have. That's an article we have today where we're going to talk about kind of like neither one of them. Like it's tough on both sides with no clear, winner or loser. Stalemate. So let's take a look. Let's
if you look at the overall, it depends on the locations, but yeah.
It really does. It really, you make a great point, because I am just getting ready to release a video about this where there are actually places in Dallas right now where prices are like up by 20 to 25% year over year. Okay. No kidding.
So Purple Drink as a chess player.
This is definitely a stalemate. Yes. Okay. And I think you're right. I think that both sides are hurting. I think that both sides neither are particularly in like a strongly, beneficial. But let's take a look. Let's dig into this article. Okay. Okay. Dan. Hey, Dan. Thank you for joining us. New home builders are winning. Cheap houses and special interests. What do you think? You think home builders are winning?
Depends on the location, I would say. They are definitely some. Larger builders have the capital. They can definitely work through this, no problem. Okay, but there's definitely some larger builders that are. They are putting out quite a bit of incentives, bonuses, all kinds of things to make it work. But a lot of it is definitely location. So
for sure. Okay, I like what Mr. OL says here. I love this. This is great. This is a great way.
14-7 with a quarter and a half to play for the year. All right, I like it.
I like it. There's a lot of truth to that. Think about it, like where we're at in the year. So I think the buyers are ahead. I think that's probably true too. Buyers have way more of a say, depending again on the location, with a quarter and a half left to play for the year. Very true.
And by the way, that's American football.
Yeah.
I'm actually a true football fan. So, but
Yes,
you
we
guys
know.
can figure that out later. So.
Yeah, that means that he likes soccer. Soccer is his game. Who else is a
Right.
huge fan of soccer? Comment in the chat. Okay. I rent in Levon and the cheap builder here is selling them.
Oh, so yeah, there are definitely some cheap builders up
yeah.
in Levon, but there is one community that has some really nice builders, but they are actually providing quite some nice
Are they?
bonuses and incentives. So
yeah, the thing that, and he's right. And what's the name? Is it
Hillstead?
Okay, so I was thinking, cool thing about Levon, guys, you've got a lower price, lower cost of living, but you really want to look, if you're going to consider Levon, look by school district, because there are literally in Levon, like Hillstead, you can be in Wiley ISD. I mean, that's like, if I ever have, buyers who are like, Wendy, I want my kids in A+ school districts, but I don't have an A+ budget.
Well, you don't even have to be worried about your kids. It's about resale as well too, and
that is
location.
True.
So Hillstead is basically on the corner of 548 and 78. So
yeah. I tend to think about schools a lot and the value that brings, but I like that in Levon at Hillstead, right? There are areas within Levon that are in Wiley ISD, and you have to know how highly rated.
Levon, I mean, and there is another. Levon's a pretty nice community, new construction. It's a pretty area up there, Levon, and as a kid, we used to go up there and go to the lake up there. So
you rode your horse and carriage when you were a kid?
No.
Okay. Owners are the builders. They always win. Realtors are the coaches. Sometimes they win and sometimes they lose. Yeah. Although based on our live stream last week, I would say that the realtors are supposed to be the coaches. They aren't always the coaches, but they are supposed to be. Really saw some rough stuff last week on our live stream about predatory realtors. So I've been thinking about that a lot this week. Okay, let's take a look at our article. Balance or stalemate? DFW housing inventory near decade high. Okay, so balance or stalemate. Okay. Home buyers are gaining some leverage. Okay, I think home buyers have gained a whole lot of leverage, but still face challenges in Dallas-Fort Worth as inventory hit near decade highs in June. Nearly 38,700 homes were for sale in North Texas last month, the most since 2018.
Wow.
Okay. Housing inventory is up 24% year over year and 3.1% over May, according to a new study from Zillow.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Although I will say that, it wasn't that long ago that we were begging for inventory.
Yeah.
And when we hear numbers like plus 50%, plus 30%, we have to think about where we came from. Right. So as we're looking at year over year, at 2021, they were just so low that anything after that is going to be a big increase. We want to take that into consideration. I think, the fact it's, we're talking about 2018, that's a good thing, All right, let's see what we have here. Okay. The housing market is roughly balanced between buyers and sellers in June for the first time since 2019. For the past 5 years, sellers have had the advantage. I don't necessarily know if I
right now they do
agree with that. I mean, no, it's saying, for the past 5 years. So now they're saying it's roughly balanced.
5 years. That's pretty close.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so much that doesn't go into the numbers from new construction. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I completely agree with that. Okay, sellers are starting to cut asking prices in DFW. Nearly 36% of listings had a price cut in June. Let's look at what it looked like today. When I read that, I thought, you know what, let's take a look at today. Okay, you guys, I don't know if you can see that. Do you see the new listing here back on market? And then look at the biggest column. Okay, the biggest one is price decrease, 45.58.
Biggest bar.
Yeah, the biggest bar. Yeah. And so then we have price increase. Okay, this is probably the new construction price increases because if you guys don't know me by now and you haven't watched my videos, you should know that the new home builders, they raise their prices and then they drop them, and they do this constantly to make it look like it's a sale. Okay. So, but that shows you what they're talking about there. That's a big number. Look at that, 4,558 today price decreases. Okay. So that's pretty powerful stuff there. Listings that sell go under contract in 29 days at the median. 10 days longer than last year. New listings from sellers are about even compared to a year ago. All right, this is really good. The Dallas-Fort Worth housing market has a record-breaking number of homes for sale, giving buyers a wealth of options to choose from, said Karen Ng, Zillow's senior economist. While neither buyers nor sellers have a clear advantage yet, let's see here now. Buyers currently hold the strongest negotiating power recorded in Zillow's history for the metro. Wow, that's awesome. And that power is expected to grow as competition eases through the fall.
Well, and it is that time of the year as well too, so it's a little bit of both. So, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. It's that time of the year that we would see less buyers, and that's why usually seasonally fall is excellent time to buy. Excellent time. Okay, let's see what we have here. Let's get back on here. Okay. Let's see. Another home inventory metric in DFW has hit a 13-year high. Data from Texas A&M's University Texas Real Estate Center shows the month of housing inventory is just over 4.8 months.
But last week, though, we looked at that, and it was definitely more than 4.8. So
yeah, I was just about to say.
Plus.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. Like, I have the individual stats that we can look at tonight of what's going on week over week, and we're going to see that, gosh, 4.4 months isn't anything compared to what some of our little suburbs are seeing. Okay. Months of housing inventory tracks roughly how long it would take all the homes on the market to sell at the current pace. Okay, it's the highest since June of 2012. Okay. Wow. There were more than 8,900 closed sales in June, up more than 8% from last year. SREM,
last year was pretty slow, though.
You think so?
I mean, they seem really similar. I would have to look at the numbers to see for sure, but last year was definitely. I mean, we had a really slow spring last year, and we had a slow spring this year as well too. So
I'm trying to remember what it was like because I know in the summer
we had a hot January.
Yeah, but I remember in the summer.
Well, the fall was okay, yeah, but
in the summer we were pretty busy.
There were some weird times when rates came down, so that.
Yeah, in the fall, I would say it got really, really busy in the fall.
January, it made January a really hot time, and then the rates went back up, and it made the spring really slow. So
we are just a victim of rates, aren't we? That's just the tale. Yeah. Is the tale of rates. Okay. Sriam Villapuram, a real estate and finance professor at the University of Texas at Arlington, said that buyers do have more choices. They definitely do. But the notion that they hold more negotiating power in the market goes a little too far. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, to negotiate, but because in some instances you try to negotiate with these sellers, and they're just well, okay, we'll just wait, or we'll cancel.
Yeah,
we'll do it another time.
Yeah, that is, I agree with you, and he's going to kind of touch on that too. In here, let's see here now. He describes a mostly stalemated housing market. Okay, most sellers, and this is, I think, what you're saying too. Most sellers are sitting on low mortgage rates, and their holding costs are low. Sellers who don't need to move could rent out their homes. And I think that's true. I think when you're sitting on a house that's less than perfect, maybe you've outgrown it, but gosh, your interest rate is 3%, and you think about selling and I don't know, buyers are making you ridiculously low offers. Maybe you're just like, well, never mind. It wasn't meant to be, Yeah.
I think some of the most motivated sellers are going to be builders because they have a lot of capital in it. But they have the capital to be able to do that, and they can move money around in different ways. So they can give you incentives, they give bonuses, they do a lot of different things. So it just just depends.
Oh, you are dead on that one. Okay, let's see here now. Buyers are dealing with higher mortgage rates and economic uncertainties. Well, that's for sure. Single family rents are softening in the region. This is true also. A recent increase in sales should give buyers some hope, and that is true. We've seen a recent increase in sales. I think this is interesting. However, Villapuram also highlighted another data point. Roughly 18% of homes that went under contract in the Dallas area last month fell through as buyers or sellers walked away. Yeah. Okay, so if you're wondering why that would happen, okay, there's a lot
of different reasons.
There really are. What happens is, like a lot of times you're under contract, right? Let's just say you're a buyer and you're under contract. And the house you're under contract with checks 9 out of 10 of your boxes. and suddenly a new home comes on the market that checks 20 out of 10 of your boxes, right? That surplus of inventory, and you fall in love with it. Maybe it's in the neighborhood of your best friend. Suddenly a house comes on the market and you're like, oh my gosh, this wasn't there before. And so this excess inventory, makes it like to where you're like willing to walk away from the house that was 9 out of 10, because you found something perfect. So that's one reason, what do you think?
I'll give you another situation. It's a pre-owned home. We're looking at listed at $1.5 million. Not a really old home or anything, but it's a little bit. It's definitely not new construction, and we get them down to we take $75,000 off, but we also get $25,000 in concessions, and so we're basically taking $100,000 off, and we're in the option period, and the buyers would like some things taken care of. It was a pretty clean home, but when there was definitely some things to be taken care of, and the sellers didn't want to do that. They felt like they already came down, but the market, the comps did not support the price they were at. So I mean, we had to kind of work our way just to kind of, for both sides, to be able to stay in it with not one of them canceling. So it could have been one of those situations where we could, buyer could have canceled, seller could have canceled. So
seller can't really cancel. They can just say no.
Or they can say no, and
and then the buyer backs
decides
out.
not
Yeah,
to,
I mean the seller's on the hook. Like once they commit to sell, they don't really,
you know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean, and you're right.
But,
I mean, like
but that's the same kind of situation though. So it's just those kind of things. So they're not. There's not a lot of negotiating. I mean, typically if it was actually a buyer's market, then we could have actually negotiated the repairs and everything, plus the $25,000 and the basically $100,000 off the list price and stuff like that. So the seller, and it's definitely not a seller's market because they had to try to work the way to be able to get it sold. So
well, if you think about it, so the seller is looking at what they think the house is worth today. They're not really acknowledging, oh, gee, it's actually gone up 25% since 2021 or whatever. They're not really thinking about that. And so then when they come down in price, like we got them down $100,000 essentially, they're like, well, I'm not going to do these repairs too. I've already come down 100,000. So they're not really calculating in their mind, well, actually the house has gone up that much in a few years. I mean, you're right. I get the stalemate there. Another thing I was going to say, a lot of times too, the reason these are falling out of contract is because they're contingency, and then the buyer seller, right, can't sell their own home. And so I think that happens a lot too. So you're buying a home and it's contingent on your home selling. And so you've got this cascade effect where you've got all these contingencies lined up. Well, I can't.
We actually have some buyers that are in those kind of situations too, trying to sell, and it's like not in great locations for selling. So especially if you're competing with, in this market, if you're competing with selling against builders that are selling, then that's really tough. So.
You guys, my sellers that are going through that, my heart goes out to you, because it is a tough market when you're competing with new construction. You can't compete. It's a tough market. All right, let's see where we're at here. Okay, this is not a market where sellers are desperate to sell.
That's true.
He said these are not necessarily all motivated sellers.
A lot of them are canceling.
Yeah, a lot of cancellations. When you don't have a motivated seller on the other end, they have a lot of time on their hands. They're not going to budge by much, but in some parts of the market, there are opportunities for buyers. So I think that's a good way of really communicating. Villa Perm expects more inventory to pile up if interest rates remain high. All right. And I think when interest rates come down, sellers may be more willing to negotiate a sale so that they can also take that money and go buy their next home. That right there, that's an interesting comment, guys, because that talks about how interest rates are going to kind of unfreeze the market, right? Because now our sellers are going to be more motivated to hurry up and take advantage of lower rates too. So because
they want to buy it at a lower rate too.
Yeah. And so that's an interesting thing. And I hadn't really thought about it until I read that. Like when interest rates come down, it's going to make sellers more willing you know, to budge because they're like, I want to hurry up and buy while the rates are down. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, you know, as we're reading this, comments, put them in the chat. If you have any questions about new construction, about the housing market, any thoughts on what we're talking about?
The best sport?
Okay, we already know your bias. So yeah, okay.
Just kidding.
Tell us what your favorite sport is.
Okay, we're talking about real estate's a good sport.
Yeah, make this realtor happy over here. Anyway, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We absolutely are here to answer your questions for that. That's what we're here for. Okay, let's see here now. The shift to a neutral market is significant, but it doesn't mean it's an easy market for buyers, Ing said. Affordability remains a concern. So I mean, I think that is powerful. Yeah. That is so true. I mean, yeah, we've got a buyer's market, but if it's not affordable, you know, how does that benefit them? You know, how does that benefit our buyers? So I just think that's a very good point as well. It's just a very well-rounded article. The median price for a home in the DFW area was $405,000 in June, roughly flat year over year. The average 30-year mortgage rate inched down slightly to 6.72% as of July 31. All right. What's the rates today? What are our rates today?
30-year fixed, 6.58.
Yes.
So that's a decent drop from 6.72. So
guys, rates have been coming down. They have been coming down. We've been watching them come down ever since the bad jobs report, really.
And over the last week, though, they were pretty much stayed
about the same. So, yeah. Now, last year, when we saw prices really, when we saw in the fall, when we saw things really kind of take off, if we're thinking about like a pressure point, okay? This number, I remember specifically that FHA was like at 5.5. Because I remember being like, whoa, that is so low. So if we think about like what happened last fall, which is we saw prices really, we saw prices really bump. Okay. That was kind of a pressure point, was rates were down. FHA was 5.5, right? So we're not there yet. And I think this week really has been very quiet in Dallas, I think, because all the schools started up. So we've been kind of seeing like a quiet week around here. Just, you know, everybody's so busy getting their kiddos back into school and getting all that situated that it's been kind of a quiet week here in Dallas. Okay. So that shows you today's rates. Okay. So as of, you know, July 31st, it was 6.72. Now we're down to 6.58. So rates are indeed coming down. Okay. While negotiating power is more balanced, the affordability crisis remains a high barrier to entry. Very true, especially for first-time buyers, she said. Until we see a more meaningful improvement in purchasing power, this newfound balance will primarily benefit more well-off buyers. That's very true too. In fact, a lot of times the comments on my videos, the like entry-level buyers, they just almost like you could see like this sort of like strong animosity towards sellers. They're like, we hate you guys, you know, like you're asking too much money, or, you know, so there's like this, like literally a boxing match. I almost thought about using that as the picture, like a boxing match, because it's really like that. Like entry-level buyers are tired of this unaffordable market and they just want to see a change. Okay, let's see, where were we until we see a more meaningful improvement. I think that's just so truth, guys. Affordability for sure. However, Ing said affordability in DFW is expected to improve as 2025 rolls on. Now, I can tell you that is true because I've looked at the Texas Housing Affordability Index, and it does show that if affordability has improved as prices have come down, and then they're going to improve when rates come down. If we can see those rates come down, we're going to see affordability improve. It improves very quickly when rates come down. Okay, affordability should see modest improvement as well, with home values projected to decline 2.1% throughout 2025. And I would say that decline is there. It's inconsistent. It kind of depends on the area. We've got some areas that are really like in crash territory. And again, others, so you've got some that are down 20% and some that are up 20%.
Yeah. Actually, I have a client. I have a search set up for. It's based kind of a map search, but it's based on zip codes. And all of the zip codes are a little bit low, a little bit down, except for one of them is up a lot. So and it's kind of in
yeah.
the same area, but one of them it's closer to Frisco. That's why I think.
Mhm.
But so yeah.
I mean, guys, the thing is if you think to yourself, the market is crashing, and in your
It's not
mind, I'm saying in your mind, if you think that, or the whole market is correcting, be aware that that's very dangerous, as a very dangerous thinking, because in your mind, then if you see a price reduction and you think everything is correcting, you're going to tend to think that that's a good price.
Yeah.
Right. And so remember, price reductions don't tell you anything about what a house is actually worth. So if your mindset is one of, well, if one area is correcting, then the whole area must be correcting. You can't do that. Okay. That's a dangerous mindset. It'll get you in trouble. It'll get you in a bad investment, right? Because you'll overpay for your home. Okay. I was just making a video about that today too. All right. Let's see. Okay. That is the end of that article. So I do have our stats in front of us. But before I do that, let's go ahead and answer some of these questions. Okay, let's jump in here. Love your channel. Thank you so much. Spring, thank you. Love your channel. Can you do an episode on no HOA homes in McKinney? I think it's a fabulous idea.
Interesting.
Because
I think McKinney is a nice. McKinney gets a little bit of a downplay because of TEA didn't rate their school district, but there are some really good schools there. There's some very nice communities in McKinney. I like McKinney. I at some point maybe we should have looked. Back when we were looking, we should have looked up in McKinney. But yeah, there's some nice places in McKinney. There's definitely, if you're looking at pre-owned, there's definitely a lot of places of that without HOA. Looking at new construction, it's going to be HOA. So
yeah. Fun fact in McKinney, I was just I have a video that's being released this week about this, but in McKinney, I think at least a 10th, maybe more, maybe like 20% of these schools of the area is zoned to schools that are not McKinney ISD. So you have a tremendous opportunity. McKinney's more affordable, guys. Okay. It's more affordable than Frisco. All right. And yet you can there's a ton of areas that are within Frisco ISD in McKinney. Also, McKinney has Melissa ISD, Prosper ISD, Frisco ISD. So you can actually in McKinney take advantage of it being a little bit more affordable, which is an awesome thing, but you can still get those A+ schools. So you just have to be strategic about how you're looking. Make sure and couple your search by the school district, okay, to try to open that up.
Well, if you're looking at what's listed for McKinney, that's non-HOA. There's 150 active listings, and the average. The average list price is $888, so
but it's a broad range.
Median list price is $500,000, but average is $888. So there's definitely a broad range there, and the size and the age and all that is pretty broad. That's one of the beauties about McKinney too. McKinney has a very good diversity, and there's lots of green space, lots of nice parks. You're close to a lot of business. It's not always in McKinney specifically, but it's in the north, kind of west, just south of 380 in that area, off of around El Dorado in that area is probably where your most businesses and things are.
I think it's a great idea, though. Doing an episode on how to find no HOA homes, where the opportunities are. I love that. She wants to start a micro school. Do I need a commercial part? So all very good questions. An episode about next gen homes. That's a good point too. That's excellent. Is Rockwall a good location if I work in Dallas downtown? Hey, Merla, thank you for posting. I think a big question there is like, what time do you go to work in downtown? Like, what time do you go to work in downtown Dallas?
We like Rockwall a lot too. Rockwall is really nice. There are definitely some good buys in Rockwall. Very nice communities. Lots of great entertainment and shopping and stuff in Rockwall.
Yeah.
But the Interstate 30 going across Lake Ray Hubbard can be quite the pain. So she's right. It depends on what time.
It really does. Because that's a busy road. But if you're like working remote, oh my goodness, it's excellent. Rockwall is beautiful. They've got great schools. I think it's a terrific area. And you've got options to get oversized lots as well. So, but I would say a lot of that, Marla, responds on, depends on when you're commuting for sure.
Yeah.
All right, how much below listed price is going on in McKinney? Oops, sorry. I've been watching that closely, and we're seeing a lot of volatility. In fact, you want to look that up. The median, how much below listed price going on in McKinney? I've been looking that up because it's kind of volatile.
So right now it's showing negative 4.8%.
That the median sales price is down.
Yeah. So and this came, if you're looking more recent, so it came down in June. It was 550. And now in July it was 500. So
it's been volatile, but there's been no clear trend.
So like if you go back all the way to January, it's just a little over 500. So it's kind of up and down. So
All right. Why do people prefer North Dallas compared to East or West? You know, that is such a great question. I think that it's there's a couple different reasons that come to my mind personally. One of them is that it's more densely populated, so more people talk about it. Okay. There's more businesses on the north side, but like when people are like, oh, I'm going to relocate to Dallas, and they start Googling, all these North Dallas areas pop up, you know, Frisco, Plano, all of those come up. And part of that is because it's so much more densely populated. And so that just leads to
that's
that, you know,
most of the money is. That's where most of the entertainment, shopping, and all that. That's where some of the highest rated schools are. But there are great areas in fact, some of the higher rated schools are in the east. Lovejoy.
Yes. Yeah.
Rockwall, very high. Wiley. In the west, Argyle.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
so
true. That is true.
It really depends. But yes, there's just things are, if you like everything to be really close, just go down the street. That's where everything is. And you're going to like up north Dallas. So
yeah, just a lot of companies there.
Part of DFW.
But I do think that the other areas are underrated. You just don't hear about them when you're relocating, because you mentioned like Argyle, that's on the northwest side. Excellent schools. Southlake, also on the northwest side. Excellent schools.
South Lake's an anomaly, and definitely it's $1 million plus everything there. And
no new construction.
Beautiful. It's one of the best run cities in Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it's very nicely done. So.
Very true. Okay. Thoughts on Union Main Homes? What are your thoughts? Union Main.
I think they're about average builders. They do the small 40-foot lots, plus they do 50. They may have some 60-foot stuff. I know they're in the new area up in Legacy Hills and in Salina. They're out in Little Elm and Aubrey out west that way. I will tell you, we have not closed a Union Main home, but I've looked at some, and they're not bad homes. They're just kind of average homes. Yeah,
I would say for sure mid-range builder.
They're usually decent prices. So, and actually for the size and cost, you can actually definitely find some 3-car garage homes.
So that's nice
with Union Main. So that's kind of an interesting situation.
I will be doing a builder review video on Union Main very soon. Okay. When you look at buyer incentives, or probably meant of pre-owned homes and those for new builds, where are those incentives more favorable for buyers? I'm reading it the way I think it's supposed to be. When you look at buyer incentives for pre-owned homes and those for new builds, where are those incentives more favorable to buyers? So I understand this may be comparing apples to oranges. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is, what is the most motivating incentive for you? Okay, so are you a price or a rates person? Right? Because you can get forward commitments with new construction at really low rates. You can probably get steeper price discounts with pre-owns.
Yeah. Well, that's in my scenario that I brought up earlier. One of the reasons why we asked for so much concessions from the sellers was to be able to give the buyers the option for using those concessions to buy a lower rate as well. So that if you're looking at what your monthly cost is going to be, to get that monthly cost to make a big difference for 1% rate decrease for that same monthly cost decrease, it will take 11% of the price decrease to do that. So yeah, that's if you're building a home, like if you're going with new construction, building home, pretty much you're looking at trying to just get trying to save cash, basically, not spend as much in design and structural updates, and trying to get them to provide some money towards closing costs. So because they can't do rates at that point.
Yeah,
because,
yeah. I mean, you're going to have a hard time
you're
with that.
6, 8, sometimes depending on the size of the home, up to 12 months out. So
yeah, very true. I go around 7 a.m. Okay, so traffic wise, 7 a.m. is not.
Yeah, I would say it's probably. I mean, I could do.
It's probably going to be decently heavy. He can look, but it's probably going to be decently heavy getting just across the bridge.
Where
he's coming. He's talking about Rockwall to downtown Dallas.
Where are you from, Merla?
Right. Yeah, right now. What's your commute like right now, I guess?
No, where are you from? Are you in the Dallas area right now? Or are you out of town? Or do you not know this area very well?
Yeah, he may not know the area very well. Okay, your view on Taylor Morrison as a builder. Interesting. Our experience with Taylor Morrison. We've had good experiences, with Taylor Morrison. Our buyers have been happy, and yet their Google reviews are terrible. I mean, not all of them. Maybe I shouldn't say like across the board, but they've got a lot of bad Google reviews. So I would say probably what that tells you is that you've got an inconsistent builder. Okay, because the ones that we've done have been in higher end Taylor Morrison, so your higher dollar communities. So I would say study those Google reviews very carefully and listen to them. So if they're really bad in one area, know that that's probably inconsistency. So I would say get your answers. Definitely do your research.
So yeah, I think they're a little bit above average. Taylor Morrison, the homes that I've seen. But yeah, maybe it's inconsistent between neighborhoods and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Contemplating between McKinney versus Rockwall. Okay. So traffic between McKinney and Rockwall. Traffic looks the same. Saw with Frisco, Prosper around the same routes. I'm guessing McKinney becomes more congested compared to Rockwall. One difference that comes to mind is if you're dependent on a tollway versus a non-tollway. So I don't know if you've taken that into consideration, the way that kind of affects your budget, because McKinney is probably going to be more likely to be affected by toll roads. Would you agree?
If you're going from Rockwall to McKinney, you're probably going to take the George Bush off. You probably go, but the good thing about that is you do have some options coming out of Rockwall going because you're going west basically, and you're not you're going a little bit north and west. You're not having to go. You don't necessarily have to jump across the lake to get there, but yeah. So,
kind of depending on where you're going.
Back to the Rockwall to downtown Dallas. If you're looking at being there at 7 a.m., even if you're, let's say, let me look at if you're going to be there at 8 a.m., either way, you're looking at anywhere from about 40 minutes to close to an hour.
All right. There's our answer about Merlo, whether he knows the area. No, he's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Well, hello there. That is like quite a distance. I wonder if there's anyone else viewing right now that's further away.
I mean, PA can be.
Well, I guess I am assuming. Yeah, that's true.
There's some beautiful areas out there where you can be in Philly and be in the city. So
Okay, let's see now. Where were we? Lots of good questions today, you guys. Excellent. Hello, Tesfaye. It is so good to hear from you. Tesfaye, based on your previous videos, house prices go down in the fall and rise in the winter. Kind of. What's the best month to buy a house for someone who's not in a rush? Will interest rates go down today with today's CPI? Oh, 2 questions. Those are both great questions. So actually, honestly, like the best time to buy is closing in January. Okay. That's whenever we look, and I mean, predictably every year, that is our lowest price. And so think about what that means about getting under contract. Okay. So closing in January. So that's going to probably mean looking in, depending on how long you want to look, September, October, November, getting under contract right around the holidays. I mean, think about that. Who really wants to get under contract on a house on Thanksgiving? Okay. Probably not you, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, generally speaking, I mean, not you specifically, Tesfaye, but in general. And so it's that time frame. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, closing in January, that's typically when buyers who are just not in any hurry don't have it. And I can tell you right now, because I say this so much, that is our absolute busiest time of the year. Makes Christmas interesting because we've had closings like on December 26th, December 27th, because we really encourage everybody, like, that's when you're going to get the best prices. So,
but now, and if you're talking about CPI right now, depends. It did decrease by 0.2%.
It was like
month over month, but it was like, that's like almost nothing. So
it was lower than what they predicted with the tariffs and everything. So it came in a little bit lower. So that's a good question. Will interest rates will go down today with the CPI? I think it didn't.
It'll be September before it goes down again.
Yeah, but I think what it didn't do is I don't think it hurt our chances of rates going down in September.
I think they're going to,
you know what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense,
until we see what happens in September. So.
Although, I mean, they're coming down now. So,
well, they've been steady for over a week now.
Oh, this is a good Dale question with your computer open. What's the fair average price per square foot in the Lexington Frisco community? Well, hey, Henny, thank you so much for hopping on. What you want to think about is the fact that price per square foot is very much dependent on the home, how big it is, the age of it. Okay, so there's other factors. If you're ever looking on just the entire community, you're going to get the answer wrong. Okay. And that answer being wrong is a big problem, because then you get upside down overpaying.
I get this a lot from a lot of builders. Sales consultants call me, text me, email me, all kinds of stuff.
Indeed, yes.
And they had some pretty good inventory deals in Lexington. So actually, even some homes that could go into the 500s. So that's pretty impressive for there. But yeah.
So when I'm looking and I'm doing a market analysis to see what the fair average price per square foot is, I want to nail the square footage of the house that you're thinking about. So if you're looking at a 4,000 square foot home, I only want to compare to homes that are maybe like 3,700 to 4,300. I want to really keep that tight to be as accurate as I can. So to just say average price per square foot in Lexington, just know that that's not going to help you out in knowing what to offer. Okay. That's not fine-tuned enough, because it varies very widely depending on how small or large the house is, how old or new the house is.
So for sale, I mean, they're right. Yeah. Let me see. These are all new construction.
All right. While you're looking, I'm going to go on to the next comment. Question. I'm thinking about building a home with Taylor Morrison in the Indianapolis area. Okay. But the spec homes in the 2 subdivisions I've been looking at have been lingering on the market. Is this risky? You know what? It just depends on what the Indianapolis market is like.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know a lot about that market. The spec homes in the 2 subdivisions have been lingering. Well, first of all, it kind of sounds like Dallas. These inventory homes are lingering. In terms of, like, if you're thinking about a new build, just keep in mind you're getting today's price at tomorrow's value. So really, you're saying to yourself, what's going to happen in this Taylor Morrison community 8 months from now, 10 months from now, right? So you're right. I mean, you're being smart to be considering that. You don't have to look at immediate value, but you do have to project, hey, what's going to happen in this market? Personally, I think rates go down, that's going to affect pricing going up, and I think the concept of rates coming down, I feel like that's going to happen. Whether it happens aggressively in September, I don't know, but I kind of feel like to the extent that Jay Powell is his term is up in May, I feel like we're going to see, by May of next year, I think we're going to see rates being down, which means prices are going to stable out. Okay. Let me see. This is an easy question. Do rate buy downs count against the maximum concession amount? Yes, if it is a true rate buy down. If you're talking about a forward commitment, then no. Okay. And so I don't know if you're completely familiar with the difference. If it's a forward commitment, meaning the buyer committed to it forward in advance before you ever came on the scene. The seller. I'm sorry, the builder is what
they paid it up front.
They paid it up front. Then no. If it is a true rate buy down, then yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so I actually have a really good detailed list of every single thing that counts against the maximum concession amount. If you want that, just drop us an email, info@myontrackrealty.com, and I can send that to you.
It only costs you $5.
I think we can be nice and send it for free.
Okay.
All right. Yes, summer test pay. That's probably what you meant. Yeah, yeah. Kind of that makes more sense. When you said winter, that prices rise in the winter. You're right. You probably
Yeah,
meant summer. Yeah,
in the
and you're
summer.
right. And you're
Yeah.
right. They usually peak around June to
Hmm.
July, and then they start going down again. So seasonality. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Sam. Hey, Sam. Thank you for commenting and checking in with us today. Thank you. Closing cost average is a good incentive. Closing cost
Yes.
coverage is a good as any manipulation happens there. Yes. Thank you for all your answers. Absolutely, manipulation happens there.
Hmm.
Absolutely. With new construction, if your builder, the builder and the builder's lender are affiliated, then absolutely there can be manipulation there.
That's my two for builders. That's my two things I really push for is rate buy down and closing cost concessions. Try to get them to pay for that. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
times if they're motivated and it's an inventory home, there's definitely choke. And if it's a build, then there's definitely some room for them to pay for closing costs.
So where the manipulation happens is when the builder's lender overcharges you for what these things should cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for example, if the builder says I'll pay 20,000 towards your closing costs, and then the builder's lender charges 25,000
Yeah, you have
more
to look at their
than what it
origination
costs.
fees and
Yes. Yeah.
all
I
that
mean,
kind of
we
stuff.
can look
So
at it in an instant and be like, okay, that's ridiculous. It does not
Mhm.
cost that much, right? Because we look at these all the time. That's part of our services actually is we always make sure that we review the contract with you and review the loan estimate with you to make sure that there's no manipulation there, because it definitely happens. I've seen it to where it's just absurd that I've been like, what do they think? This buyer's an idiot? Like, oh, I can't believe they're charging that. So it definitely,
Mhm.
the manipulation is definitely there. And I'll tell you where it gets really confusing is when you're contemplating a rate buy down. And so they're like, 6.5% interest will cost you this many points. 6% interest will cause you this many, cost you this. And so then it
Well,
can kind of blur things.
Yeah, there's a general formula for that. It's not completely linear, but a lot of it depends on what's the starting rate, and the starting rates depend on what kind of investors that lender has. So, because all lenders, they're lending money based on investments from other financial institutions or people, whatever, that put money into to give those, and what their expectations are for what they're going to get out of that loan. Okay, so if they want more money out of it, they're going to start at higher rates and stuff. If they're just looking at just general doing quantity and stuff, then they're possibly starting lower rates. A lot of builder lenders that are especially owned by the same company, same parent company, or a lot of times start at higher rates. So they have different types of investors. So
when you're comparing a loan estimate, you want to ask two questions. What's the best rate you can give me, and how much is it going to cost me? Okay.
Yeah.
And as you're looking at the loan estimate, what's the best rate you can give me, and how much is it going to cost me? And I really encourage you to always get multiple lender pre-approval letters and multiple loan estimates. Okay. Based on your previous point that closing on a new build in January is best, what would be a reasonable expectation of time for the home to be completed for move-in? So not specifically move-ins, or not specifically new builds closing in January. It's more inventory homes or pre-owns that you can get your best deals. With a new build, it can be fine to close in January, but you have to keep in mind when you're going under contract. Okay, so
that's when you set the prices.
That's when you're setting your price, right?
Yeah.
So the
6 to 8 months ahead, maybe if you're going for a much larger home, could be 10 to 12 months ahead. So
right, and so think about that, because it's all about what time you're going under contract. I would say also, this is just something to take in mind, and I don't know if this situation applies to you or not. If you are a contingency sale, meaning you've got to sell your home first, closing in January is terrible. It is a terrible time.
It's a hard time to sell.
Because it's a hard time for you to sell. Yeah. And so
unless you just have an amazing deal on your home.
Yeah.
And it's the best location ever for everybody.
Yeah. But otherwise, think about the time to sell when you're buying a new build, because that's very relevant for you. Think about how much money you could lose. When we think about prices as much as 10%, Okay, you want your new build ready in June, okay, so that you can sell your current house for the highest dollar amount possible.
From a builder standpoint, their busiest time is end of the year.
For new builds. Yeah.
If you have buyers coming in looking to have a home built, their busiest time is going to be
like, I think October.
No, October, November, December, that time frame, because people are looking to be in their home by about June, something like that. So they have a big jump in that time frame. So
yeah, so the same rules really don't apply for a new build.
Yeah.
Like when we say you can get the best possible prices by closing in January, that's really for those that go under contract in November and December. So that's something. New builds are a little bit of a different dynamic there. You do want to think about when you're going to have to be selling your home as well. And Marla says, thank you for all the answers. You are very welcome. Really appreciate that. We are here because in large part, we want to start a movement where we are raising the bar. Yes, where if you guys can raise the bar in your expectations based on what you see here, don't settle for less. I mean, the things that we talk about, like going over the loan estimate, reading the contract, you want a realtor that does all of those things. And so very much like, let's start a movement here. Let's raise the bar. Okay. Make the realtors do the job. After everything we read last week, I've just been thinking about that all week. Let's start a movement. Okay. You guys are the first ones to join this movement. Raise the bar. Okay. Let's take a look at our stats real quickly. Okay. All right, let's take our look at our week over week stats. Okay, so we're doing this week over week. So sometimes it's not going to be a whole lot of change. Okay, let's see. That is a good point, Wendy, about selling your current home earlier than January. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Purple Drink. Yes, thank you. Closing earlier than January. Thank you. You're right. I mean, it's just something to keep in mind. Okay, entire Metroplex. Our median sales price is down 0.3%. So that's been steady. Fairly. Yeah. If you just look at Dallas, if you just look at the whole Metroplex, you're going to think the Dallas market is perfectly stable. It's just really boring.
In general, it's always been that way. I mean, it's one of the benefits of this area. So.
It is. It really is. Okay. Active listings are up 18%. New listings are up 5.8%. That's a little surprising. That's going to dwindle. Okay. We would expect for that. And even if you look here, last year was up 14%. So it's actually a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Pending sales are down 2.7%. Not as bad as what we're going to see in our more micro markets. Okay. Yeah. Down 2.7% is not that much overall. Closed sales are up 1.8% year over year. Okay. So we're really not seeing, when we look at the Metroplex as a whole, okay, that's a good thing. This isn't bad. This doesn't look bad, big picture. Okay. Days on market, however, up 37%. Okay. So it's taking a little bit longer. Months of inventory up 14.6%. And so you see that 5.5 months of inventory there. Okay, let's go ahead and break this down by county. Let's take a look at Denton County. Okay, our median sales price is down 1.1%, so more or less stable. I just call that kind of stagnant. Okay, active listings though, up 37.4%. Wow. Okay, so that is significant for Denton County because this is the time of the year that we would think things would kind of slow down. Yeah, that we would think things would kind of slow down. New listings are up 6.9%. That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, those new listings, we wouldn't expect those to be up by a whole lot. So pending sales down 4.2%. Okay, that's not the carnage that we're going to see in some of ours. Okay, so closed sales are up 2.7%. I think I'm seeing kind of a trend of a lot of the closed sales being up.
Yeah.
All right. Days on market are up 47%, guys. Whew, okay.
But there's still 31 days is really not.
It's really not. Yeah. Months of inventory up 35.1%. Okay.
That's about right. Those
5 months.
What we're seeing. So
I remember in that article when it was talking about overall, it was saying 4.5 months.
Yeah.
From a real big picture standpoint. So, all right, let's talk about Collin County. Now, Collin County is, it's the most popular one, but it's seeing a lot of pain right now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's in a lot of pain. Median sales price. So big picture, -2%.
Not bad.
Not bad. Okay. We're going to see the cities, these suburbs are seeing way worse.
You
Some
look
of
at
them.
each individual zip code, though, you could see some big differences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Active listings are up 41.9%. New listings up 16.3%. We would expect that to be kind of lower this time of year. Pending sales up 2.5%. So we were seeing pending sales be down in a lot of locations. So now we're seeing they're up. Closed sales up 8.1%. So Collin County, that's a trend we seem to be seeing too, that we're kind of wrapping up the summer with closed sales up. Days on market, wow, up 68.2%.
Still 37. That's not bad, though.
Not bad. Months of inventory, 30.8%. Okay, up. So 5.1. So we're seeing kind of a trend here of about 5 months of inventory. Okay, let's take a look at Tarrant County. All right, median sales price is down. I think it was up before when we were looking at it. So now it's we're kind of got a stagnant market here.
We'll see. You went
wobbling back and forth.
360, back to 350 again.
Yeah, so it's just kind of, this is stable. Active listings are up 10.7%. Definitely not the carnage we've seen in some of our other counties. New listings are up 1.6%. That's a little bit more of what you'd expect. Like not a whole lot coming out this time of year. It's kind of what you would expect. Pending sales, okay, up 1.2%. And then closed sales, 0.
Wow,
okay, so just stable. Days on market up 27.3%. So only 28 days on market. Yeah.
That just means there's just not as many homes for sale that way. So
months of inventory is only at 4. Okay, at 11.1%.
That points to that. There's just not as many homes for sale out that way.
Yeah.
So.
Fun fact, just a minute and I'll get back to that. Fun fact is I was working on a video today, and in places like Salina and Melissa, I was looking at those. In 2021, guess what the month supply was?
Oh, it was super low, I'm sure.
It was like 0.6. And in Melissa, I think it was like 0.2, month supply. And so it's crazy when we see these month supply of 4 months and of 5 months. Like in Salina, I think it's like at 7.5 months inventory. So we talk about like 2021 being at 0.6 and how much the market has evolved during that time. It's just crazy how much we've seen, how much interest rates have done. When people say interest rates don't change things, oh man, they really do. Yeah. I mean, look at what it's done to the market. Okay, back where were we? Okay, now we're in Dallas County. Okay, Dallas County price is still up. We saw this last week as well, up 4.2%. Active listings up 19.3%.
They've been doing better than Tarrant County.
New listings up 3.3%. Okay, pending sales are down. Okay, that's kind of surprising. Closed sales are down a little bit, mostly stagnant. Days on market, wow, up 50%. That still only brings it to 30 days on the market.
30 days. Again, it's just not as, we'll see what the inventory is.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so it's a little bit higher, but still it's not a ton. So
we can see where they, where that article came up with it being about 4.5 months, because all of these are kind of sort of there. All right. Rockwall County. Okay. All right. Median sales price is up 1.5%. Active listings are up 29.1%. New listings up 1.7%. That's about a little bit more like closely what you would think this time of year. Not a whole lot more coming out there. Pending sales right at 0.
Wow.
Closed sales up 19.6%. And I will say that I see Rockwall County as a pretty good demand area. I've been seeing a lot more stability.
It's growing out there, so
Okay, let's see. Where were we? Days on the market up 60%. So that's pretty high days on the market compared to the others we've been seeing that are like in the 30s. 56 days on the market.
2 months.
Months of inventory. Okay, that's up there. Look at that.
Wow, almost
6.7 months of inventory. And it's interesting that the prices are holding.
Yeah.
In spite of that. And that really kind of tells you too what we were saying about how the sellers are like, like you would think with that much, months of inventory that you'd be seeing a little bit more budging, but they're not. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So this is Kaufman County, and our median sales price is down 4.8%. I've noticed that Kaufman County seems to be the one where we're seeing at the county level.
Drops,
Active listings are up 9.7%. New listings are up 0.9%. Pending sales 0.2%. Okay, so they've got some more under contract, and 8.4%. Okay, closed sales. So
Or at
they're
least
closing
positive
something.
overall.
Doesn't
but
it seem like we're seeing closed sales are up on a lot of these? Okay, so it's just kind of like we're closing out the summer, and we saw some good closings. Days on market, 40% increase at 49, so roughly 50 days on the market. Months of inventory is 5.7.
Months, yeah.
At 3.6. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you take this to a more micro level of these individual suburbs, it's really astonishing how much more you see there. Okay, let's talk about Ellis County. All right. Median sales price is up 0.4%. That is stability right there. Look at that. That is a stable market. Yeah, Ellis County. Active listings are up 1.1%.
This is the growth time, 2023, 2024.
Yeah, you're right. Boy, look at that leap.
There was a lot of new build.
Yeah, from here to here.
24.
Yeah. And who was it that asked a minute ago about why do people prefer, the North over the East and West? And I think the South is often quite ignored as well. Places like Midlothian, they've got decent schools. Okay, they're not the best. They're not as high as some of the others, but they're not horrible. Yeah. And Mansfield, okay, those areas, I think that a lot of times people don't know about them.
Actually, Mansfield, just to shout out for that, they're getting some big time entertainment, shopping, and stuff going on there. There's a whole new Riverwalk area coming in with lots of shopping and entertainment stuff, and then
nice.
And then on the east side of it, there's a new stadium being built, and sports stadium, and they're going to have they're in the World Cup. They're actually going to have some of the teams there.
Nice.
Too, so, yeah.
Wow. So okay.
Good stuff's going on. So
new listings are up 7.5%. Pending sales up 2.9% in Ellis County, and closed sales down 11%. Wow, that is surprising. Yeah, that's surprising because it's been one of our stronger counties. Days on market 41, down 2.4%. Months of inventory at 5.
Average. Yeah.
Okay, down. Okay, months of inventory
down. Went down, so they sold.
Wow,
they sold a decent amount. Yeah, but like you saw before.
Yeah. Interesting. So Ellis County definitely tends to kind of march to the beat of its own drum, tends to have a little bit more stability. Well, let's wrap up a few of these comments and then we will call it a night.
Points. Yeah.
Let's see that one. That's a good point, Wendy, about selling your current home earlier than January. Absolutely. Good point about closing earlier. Yep. Okay. Terrence, when is the worst time to start a new build, and how often do people lose their earnest money? When you ask me that, Terrence, a lot depends on if you have a contingency sale or not. If you have to sell your home, then you want to kind of make that decision. And then also in terms of like pegging a month in the calendar, you have to keep in mind each of these projects take a different amount of time. Some will go really fast. I would say really fast would be like 6 months. That'd be really, really fast.
There are a few builders that are really cookie cutter type setups. They can do 3 months. For the most part, you're looking 6 to 8 months. And it depends. Some of that depends on location because of permitting and stuff like that. I would say right now, builders are a little bit easy on the contingency thing and allowing a little more just because they want people to try to close, and so they're giving them a little extra time for the contingency sale for a new build. And I've even had some buyers where I've actually been able to push out deposits and stuff, a little bit longer and things like that. Losing your earnest money, I mean, it's just like in a pre-owned, it's all about what type of contingencies you have. Financing. Most builders are pretty strict on their finance contingencies. They want that, usually within 30 days at the longest of your effective date on your contract.
It's going to depend on the terms of your contract.
Then if your contingency
each builder's going to have different terms. Each builder's going to have so to answer that question, how often, it's all going to depend on the terms of the contract. If you get laid off, a month after your new build is done, you're probably going to lose your deposit, okay, because your contingencies expired a long time ago. So I guess in answer to your question, When is the worst time to start a new build? It depends on how long the builders are taking to build and if you have a contingency sale. Okay.
Yeah.
How often do people lose earnest money? It's subject to the terms of the contract. So,
Oh, and one other thing though, to start a new build, the builders demand high demand time, and where they're not going to come off of prices and stuff or give as many incentives, or possibly at the end of the year, in the end of the year time frame. So maybe you want to start, maybe more in the springtime or earlier in the summertime, something like that. So from that standpoint, from a builder standpoint, but if you have to sell, then that changes your
formula.
So
excellent. That's an excellent point. All right, you just helped me out setting the time frame for the move to Texas. That is awesome. When you get here, we're going to come and say hi, okay? Well, looking forward to welcoming you to Texas. Thank you for all the educational videos. Absolutely, Tesfaye, anytime. Again, guys, we are starting a movement here where we are raising the bar in real estate, okay? We're not going to put up with mediocrity. We are raising your expectations. You should demand more, okay? Do not settle. It starts here, okay? Most definitely. All right, awesome. Yes. All right, you guys, well, we're going to call it a night. Thank you again so much for joining us, chatting with us. Love meeting with you guys, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right,
bye, you guys.